Okay, this is a 30-second commercial, and I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you, but please stay with me. In just 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. This company has been offering great rates and great service for over 75 years, and anytime you need help, you can speak to one of their trained specialists 24/7. That company is Geico. Go to geico.com today. Sorry for all the numbers, and in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm out of time.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
All right, here we are. Welcome, Spike's Car Radio. It's good to be here with all of you. We haven't been in the studio for a while. Weirdly, I slept well, but I'm also sleepy at the same time. What is that all about? Zuckerman just walked in. He's got bloodshot red work eyes. He whipped off his jacket and demanded that the AC be turned up. And it's only 11 in the morning, and we have a great show for you folks today. We're going to have our old buddy J.G. Francis from MercedesMotoring.com. Go to MercedesMotoring.com right now. This guy is the king of diesel vintage Mercedes. And you know what we're going to get to the bottom of? We're going to get to the bottom of whether he actually sells these cars or finds them and keeps them for himself. So I'm excited about that. But first, Zuckerman. We have, I'm trying to go back now through our catalog of shows. We've posted a lot of shows. We were up in Monterey for a while. Did we ever recap Monterey, you and I?
Never.
No. Is it still fresh enough in your head to talk about?
Okay.
I'd like to talk about it. It was, first of all, we flew up on your little Cirrus plane, which is now my new favorite thing to do. I love it.
It is a wonderful little plane.
You know why? Because it's like a car. It's got a set of car keys with a keychain on it. You put it into the instrument panel, you turn it, and the plane starts. And you're nice enough to let me sit up front, so I feel like I'm in the riding shotgun in a car. And no matter what happens, even though we hit no turbulence in this stuff, right? It's so rare for a south to north flight in California. Usually you're getting hit by wind sideways from the ocean.
You know this?
I know this.
How do you know this?
Because I fly up on the bigger airlines to San Francisco or up to Portland, and it's bumpy as hell.
I think you're just a nervous flyer. I've never noticed a bump at all. I just don't even notice that stuff.
Well, what about when many times in private and commercial aircraft, just coming over the hills from the valley into the basin of Los Angeles, the heat. There's buffeting heat, and I've noticed that. And 2 years ago, we were flying on that Winnebago plane that you chartered, remember,
right.
With the 1970s curtains and Mohammed the pilot.
Yeah.
And we were getting sideways. The heat was coming off the hills, and the thing was jumping around like crazy.
You and I are very different. To me, being in a small plane is like a meditation. It's so relaxing to me, seeing the clouds, seeing what we're passing over, seeing all of the topography.
Well, but listen to what I just said.
I don't feel that.
I just had that experience. Two years in a row now, I had that exact same experience, right. and I believe I attribute that to the Cirrus aircraft.
And I think that it's the Cirrus. I also think it's the pilot. I think the pilot may have something to do with the ride.
Well, when you watch these guys fly, I mean, this pilot didn't have his iPad up the whole time with some sort of navigation system going, but it's all computerized. It's just like, I think we just caught very, very nice weather.
Does the driver of the car matter?
Huh?
Does the driver of the car matter as far as the ride goes?
Look, I'm up there with this guy. Both guys, their hands are not.
What's going on.
Their hands are not on the cane. I've actually done a lot of flight simulators. I used to want to fly until I got kind of sideways in Teterboro in New York and decided cars are for me, not planes. Right?
Teterboro.
Yes, but neither guy was flying with their hands. I guess they were a little bit on approach to Santa Monica. But
I didn't pay attention. I always like sitting in the back.
I don't know how you can even, Anyways, let's get to Monterey. Let's talk about Monterey because it was fun. I'm trying to think.
It was fun because we did very little car stuff. That was the weird thing. This trip was the time we did the least amount of car activities and had the most amount of fun.
Yeah.
Why?
Is that? What did we do? We went to the Quail. Right.
Well, the first night we went to the Porsche thing
the Porsche exclusive release. Right. There are a lot of folks that would like us to chat about this car.
We went to Tehama, which we seemed to be driving down a road where there was
Right.
nothing. And yesterday I sent you an email for a house that was advertised for sale up there.
This is where the party was.
This was where the party was, and where you couldn't see any houses. They're tucked away in these little hills. And that house was $22 million?
Yes. Right.
It was okay.
It was okay?
It was okay, if that's what you like.
But what does that have to do with the car?
Well, because when we were driving up there, we were like, where are we going? What's going on?
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what it was. It seemed like it was a private golf course with a bunch of houses on it. And, real rich people stuff.
Right.
Right. But the party was fun. All of our Porsche friends there. And they had both of the cars there. They had the turbo exclusive in that, I haven't even bothered to look at the color because I hate the color so much.
Gold.
What is that? What it is?
I don't. That's what it looks like to be like a shiny new penny.
And they had this 993 creation that they've made
Thing.
And this is not a car that is street legal. You're not going to be able to, I posted, they had Jerry's, the last 993 out in the front lawn there, and I posted that, and everybody said, well, that's not the last one anymore. And, well,
it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because this
car, is a thing.
This is a thing, right? It's a put-together. It has a VIN number, right?
That you can't use.
That you can't use. And why can't you use it? Oh, I know why. I know.
Because it can't pass current federal highway safety regulations.
Yes, you would have to build a bunch and crash test them and make them up to DOT
you
standards,
could not
right?
get a 993 to DOT standards because the requirements you would have to have a higher hood, higher bumpers, all sorts of stuff that's now dictating the look of the 911 getting bigger and higher.
So what, I'm still kind of scratching my head on this. What are they trying to show us with this build?
I don't understand it. I don't.
Right?
That they can do it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got excited about it because I like that they're dipping a toe in this space. It seems like they're hamstrung by regulations, which I don't like, where other builders, like a Singer, why can Singer do what they do and Porsche can't do this?
Because they're taking an existing VIN number. They're taking an old car that's legal, and then they're doing crap to it, and Porsche could do that. And that's what we thought Porsche was going to do, that Porsche was going to take a car that was out there, redo it, make it new again, use their workshops, and do something beautiful with an existing drivable car to make it like it was brand new or better, or a show Singer or a show Rough or whoever, how this is done. And what we got was, okay, here you go. You can't use it.
Here's a turbo exclusive package in the color you hate, and here's a car painted in the same color
that you hate.
It was. Yeah. I didn't hate it. It was just it felt anticlimactic and a little confusing to me, and whatever. That's what it felt like. I'm still a fan of the brand. I was happy to be there and be a part of it. But at the same time, I don't get the car. The car is going up for auction. They're giving the money away to charity, as I understand it.
So some rich guy needs a write-off.
Right. And could you bring this car in on show and display?
Okay.
So to me, okay, look, here, if I'm being brutally honest with you, I would have taken an historic color, ice green metallic something, and I would have made something beautiful. I would not have put the turbo exclusive color and car next to this thing. I would have done a one-off, and I would have made it great in some incredible color that we all loved.
Gumball color.
And I would have put the car out there under a little curtain or tarp or sheet by itself and say, hey, we made this. Hey, you can bring it in on show and display, maybe. Or just it's going to be this little jewel in the hangar, and it's going to be a one-off, and you're going to be the only guy who has it. I was confused by the presentation of the car. If they had just called us, Zuckerman, if they just said Spike, Zuckerman, Jerry.
Yeah, what do you want?
How would you do this? How would you make it? How would you present it to the world? We could have produced this a little better for them.
The main issue is that you can't drive the fucking thing on the road, and that's what really makes me crazy.
I know, but Zuckerman, let me paint a picture for you. They unveil a Mexico blue completely
That would have
custom
helped a lot.
993
That would have
with a lot of
helped a lot.
horsepower.
Yes, that would have helped
with
a lot.
some details that maybe we gave them, or we talked to Grant Larson and we work out with Tony Hatter, and they have this one-off creation. I don't think I would care that I could not drive it on the road.
Okay,
because
maybe
I would probably drive it on the road anyway, and let it go to the Mexican car crusher.
I would love to. I would
stopped.
love to get the thing at the auction,
Right.
put the key in it, and drive home. Mm-hmm. I always imagined when I was a kid, let's make a deal that you drove the car home.
Right.
I know that's not true now, but at the time I thought you got to leave. Let's make a deal in Burbank with the car that was in behind door number 1.
You can't.
I guess you unless you can fit the fridge in there.
I've
too.
been backstage at that game show. It's really fun. Yeah, all
Really?
those little games are like put up against the wall so they can shoot other shows there. It's really cool.
I always.
But
love
you're
this.
right. I don't see the cars there.
Right. Door number 1 is something okay, and door number 2 is a goat, and door number 3 is a pig.
All right. What else did we do? We went to the Quail, which was nice. It was a little Richie Rich, right? A little. They had some beautiful cars there. It was there was good food there. What did we do there that we remember? We looked at beautiful cars. It was one of the easier shows to get in and out of. The food. Oh, they had that little. I had never had one of those little espresso-y things with ice cream in it. What are those called?
Affogato.
An affogato.
Affogato.
Yeah,
That was very nice.
That's what I remember from the Quail was the affogato, and that's it. Oh wait, and there was a beautiful Jaguar there that like light
Green,
gray, non-metallic one.
Right.
That I don't even remember what it was.
Here's the deal.
But they had an incredible collection of roof cars.
Yes.
That was the highlight.
It was okay. It was good. I thought it was hot there. It's always hot there. See, I'm suffering from some sort of Goldilocks syndrome in my middle years. Where
Grumpy old Jewish guy.
Yeah, it's
syndrome,
grumpy old Jewish guy.
It
It's either too hot or too cold. Nothing's ever right.
GOJG.
Yeah,
that's very common with men your age.
Yes, I'm not. It's like, why am I here? It's fucking walk. It's hot. Now it's overcast. It's muggy. It's cold. It's hot. It's cold.
I felt the same way. But it was fun walking around with you guys. I had fun doing that, and we met a lot of really fun, a lot of fans of the podcast, which is always nice. A lot of Porsche fans and our brethren. That was nice to chat with them and see what they were up to. We didn't make it to Works, unfortunately, but we heard about it. There were many good cigars smoked at night.
Terrible. Disgusting.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I hate it.
It's my favorite
It's the worst
part.
part of the whole trip is having to sit there with you guys while you pretend to be some sort of industrialist smoking your disgusting turd-like cigars and blowing that shit everywhere.
And Zuckerman, you accuse me of not being a good flyer. You are not good cigar smoker. You sit like a big baby. Oh, now it's blowing downwind at me.
Because you guys don't.
And then you have to move.
Because you guys, a big plume of nasty cigar smoke that you just blow out into my face and then think I'm enjoying it.
You know, even my wife says, "Oh, I really like that smell."
Okay, even your wife. Well, but not Zuckerman.
Zuckerman, no.
No, Zuckerman does not like the smell. Your wife can like the smell all she likes.
That was the fun part for me was we'd go to these shows. We went to a couple events. We went to the Porsche party, the VIP party, which is fun. And that's always a good event, always a bunch of good people, a lot of our Porsche friends there. And then we would congregate at the Spanish Bay or the Inn at Spanish Bay out back with whoever wants to show up, right?
Right.
And we would sit at the fire pits and smoke cigars and talk about cars. And then this year, Zuckerman, you and I added the pizza and hamburger to this little event, right? Which was great, wasn't it?
I'm going to tell you what my favorite part was. Not only eating is always high on the list of anything,
and
that's
good
what I
breakfast too.
That's what I liked at the Quail because the Quail always has good food that's included in the price of the ticket.
Yes,
so you get to load up. But okay, I also liked the nighttime little nosh. The burger was delicious. All that stuff that was really good. The chicken wings, okay, but I like sitting around mocking the other people. Okay? So, I don't know if you're allowed to admit that.
If you're a teenage girl, they call that leveling, and it's an insecurity thing.
Okay, so I'm insecure. I cop to I'm insecure.
And who were your favorite types to make fun of?
Just the big buffoons, the bloviators, the guys full of themselves, the guys dressed up in clown outfits.
There were a couple moments that were a little uncomfortable when it was late. It was like a little close to midnight, and they gave us the half-hour warning that they're turning the fire pit off. And you and I and Jerry were having a nice conversation with our friend Steve Serio, and then this meathead guy comes and sits down at our fire pit with us when there are 6 other ones open with no one there. With like a tackle box.
But tackle? No. It was more like record equipment for going on tour. It was a giant square box. It was 3 by 3 by 3.
Yeah, which would be fine if he were to carry on a conversation. A little close, and we were trying to have a nice conversation with Jerry, who
he was pretending to be the magician. He brought the box out,
but he sat there quietly and listened to us talk, like we were doing a show at that point. And we were talking about a fairly delicate situation about a car, and they were just listening, like, "Hey, we'll just listen in on this."
You know what I liked?
I didn't like that.
You know what I liked about him?
I like the guy
in the Rob Report. Right, they got that guy that he's 100 years old, but he's taking the special medicine that gives him a ripped stomach.
Yes,
right. He looks like Grandpa, but he's got the body of a 20-year-old and the head of a 100-year-old.
Yeah,
and he was kind of like that guy. Right?
And in the tackle box, he had every possible cigar known to man.
There must have been 3,000 cigars in that thing.
Right, it was impressive. I wish he had just come by and said, "May I give you one?" and then let us
that was
have a conversation. We had to edit ourselves after that moment, and that. That wasn't fun. Also, some fans walked over the previous night and gave me one of my favorite Hoyo cigars. Not a 2, a 1, a bigger one. I smoked it the other night. Thank you, you guys. That was a very nice gesture. And then what did we do? We drove back. We drove back in 80s 911, Zuckerman.
That was fantastic.
The 87, you had the 89 Club Sport.
No.
What did you have?
I had the Linneman.
Jerry had the 89 Club Sport.
He had an 88 Club
That's
Sport.
right. You had the Turbo.
I had the 89 Turbo, the Linneman Metallic, which I've been promising everyone. I'm going to the garage to take pictures of the murder kit and post them on Instagram.
I'm surprised they don't know about that, but you're right. It's a murder kit. That car has 4,000 miles on it. We, because Michael Strahan canceled on us, and I didn't have a podcast to do that Saturday. I had done Jerry the previous day, and that went over just grand. We were able to eat breakfast, meet Mr. Roof out in the driveway of the hotel, drive the Roof Yellowbird, which was so exciting, and then get in our 80s cars and drive home. Quickly about the Roof Yellowbird, I was so surprised at how well that thing drove at slow speeds.
Really?
We were
taking
surprised? It out. I was surprised that it was a very, to me it said daily driver. Like I can daily drive this thing. I knew it was going to handle it at the high speeds, but I thought it might be a little bit of a monster.
Couldn't really enjoy my test drive because you were giving me you were acting like an old lady in the passenger seat.
Yeah,
telling me how to fucking drive. It was so weird. You had some sort of moment where you just like I almost opened up the door and threw you out and watched you bounce down.
Because I was watching an old man drive, and I thought you were going to go off the road. I was trying to help you.
You weren't helping
me. You needed help.
I did not need any help. But
people don't want to hear about that. What they want to hear about is how did it drive? And you know what car it reminded me of was your car, your 1M. The sound. It had the sound of the 1M, right?
Well, the turbo spool up in the wastegate.
Yeah. It's big.
Like big old truck brakes.
And Mr. Roof is one of those guys who he wanted to know what we thought. And we want some feedback. This is a prototype, and we told him the good and the stuff we thought he could change to make better.
And you know what he said? He said he could change all that, which was great.
And then he said thank you.
And that, I love that because usually you go somewhere and they'll say, this is the way it is.
Get used to it or don't buy it.
And he said, oh, you don't like the weight of the clutch for traffic? We can make that lighter. You don't like how grabby the brakes are because you're going to be not going 200 miles an hour down Beverly Boulevard? We'll fix that. That was fantastic.
It was really fun to be a part of that process. And you're right. Those were the little things we picked out. We thought the clutch pedal was a little too heavy. The brake pedal was a little too grabby at slow speeds. And as much as I like the turbo noise, I would like that to be a little quieter. But what impressed me about the car is how together everything was. It's not one of those put-together operations where engine doesn't work with suspension. That the whole thing had a balance to it that caught me off guard that I absolutely love.
He is a
and
vehicle.
Like I said, you can daily drive this.
He's
thing.
a vehicle manufacturer.
Yeah,
It's
awesome.
This car only shares several pieces with a Porsche. It has the glass of a 964 on the side. The driver's side and passenger side glass is 964, as is the surround trim.
Well, there's steering wheels and shift knobs
right.
that it
but
shares.
Otherwise, all of the body panels
are new.
The suspension, all of it, the frame, all new.
Yeah, it's really a moment for that company. I'm into them in a way that I've never been into them before. I just wish the cars weren't $1 million. Hey, whatever.
Hey, whatever.
Whatever. And before we got to take a break, JG's going to come in 1 second. We drove back. We delivered the cars up. We drove back, and we got to know our 80s 911s, and it was a wonderful experience. The 87, you should know, ladies and gentlemen. I know we've talked about this before. It was vibrating at high speeds in the back. So I finally felt that rear driver's side wheel, the dent, the warp. I sent the car down this week, Zuckerman, to Steve Alarcon at Johnson Alignment in Long Beach after this drive, because I experienced the car in long straightaways on the highway, and I finally saw what wasn't quite right about it. Steve just sent it back. Front end is completely different, so much lighter. It's an incredible experience. He said that wheel that we were going to ignore must be replaced. He dropped weight on it, pretty much the equivalent of half the circumference of the wheel, and that it is dented beyond repair. And the guys at Wheel Enhancement are sourcing us a new one right now. In fact, I approved it last night, and it will be going on the car, hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow. Excellent. And then I'm going to hand this off to you, and you're going to see my genius. All right, we'll be right back with J.G. Francis from Mercedes Motoring. You know what? Everybody has that favorite pair of jeans. I certainly do. It's the pair that, fits perfectly. It always looks great. The pair you wear out at night, at home on the couch, at work, wherever. You're always in these jeans. They're to go to. Do not underestimate their importance, jeans. No one knows that better than Wrangler, the authority on jeans, using their expertise in comfort and durability. Wrangler jeans are made for the adventurers, the go-getters, folks who like to keep moving, whether you ride a bike, a bronc, a skateboard, or if you're the type who walks the earth in search of something, these are the jeans for you. Classic or modern styles, a range of fits at a price that works for you. Vintage re-releases. Wrangler has something for everyone. Visit Wrangler.com and check out their great selection of jeans, shirts, pants, outerwear for men and women. New styles, great fits, Wrangler. Real comfortable jeans.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
He's come prepared. Welcome back to Spike's Car Radio. We're here with J.G. Francis. You want to know who JG is? Go to MercedesMotoring.com and prepare to be blown away. Prepare to have your wallet lessened for the money.
If he'll sell.
If he'll sell. JG, good to see you here. Pull that mic up close to you and make sure you speak in. You don't have to wear your headphones if you don't want. Where does our little journey begin, JG? Does it begin with Mr. Seinfeld? I think it does. Him calling me up and going, have you seen this guy's website? And I just bought...
Do the voice.
Spike! Yes, Sherry.
Yeah, you got
to go to MercedesMotoring.com right now. This guy's a genius. He's selling old diesels. Do you like old diesels? I just bought 8 of them. I'm like, what? He goes, you just go. And I go to his site, and frankly, I don't get what he's doing. But what I noticed right away is your photography is gorgeous. Your cars are colored like beautiful M&Ms, which I love. And Jerry begins to sell on me, as he's done many, many times, even with the Porsche brand, about why I should care about 70s and 80s Mercedes diesel cars, and why your cars, these low mileage, sometimes high mileage, but perfect interior exterior cars, are the ones we need to buy a lot of. And that begins, and it's right around the time that I'm shooting the pilot for Car Matchmaker, and I believe we came there in the pilot. I believe these are all the same weeks, and it's this very seminal introduction to your stuff that begins, this sets us off in the cool world of classics on Car Matchmaker, right? Yeah. Am I right in all of this?
Yeah,
does that sound right?
That sounds accurate.
That sounds like the seminal moment.
Yeah. The seminal. Zuckerman.
You know, Jerry, like I guess cold called me. Is that what they call it?
Right. Now, did he do that,
he called
or
me
his
years
assistant?
and years and years ago, and I had let's see, Sam reached out to me first, his assistant, and said, "Hey, I have somebody that's interested in a car of yours," and and like next thing I know, I get a call, and he says, "Hey, this is Jerry Seinfeld." And I mean, I'm just living in a house in Los Feliz, building one car at a time in my backyard. Right. And it just seemed like, wait, this can't be real. But it was definitely, he does a better impersonation of his voice than you do. But
JG!
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is real.
What's the deal with your name?
Yeah.
What does it stand for? J&G. Yeah. What is your first name?
Jimmy George Francis.
Jimmy George Francis.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. And where are you from?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Yeah. Wow. I like the JG. Jimmy George makes you
sound... where do your people hail from that you're Jimmy George?
Actually, so my Greek name would be Demetrios Yorgos Fragis.
Greeks.
Another Greek.
Yeah.
We're learning.
So, yeah, the Jimmy and the George and the Francis, that's all. I'm not like James. I'm actually Jimmy.
Of course, I would have said you came from like an Okie or Appalachia.
Yeah, most people think the Southern thing, but no.
No, it's Greek.
But I mean, I grew up in Las Vegas, so.
Wow. So I want to get back to this original conversation. Jerry calls you, and what does he say? What does he want to know?
Yeah, so he called. He had a car on eBay, and this is like really early on in my career.
So this is a car you had posted on eBay?
I just posted on eBay.
Right.
I mean,
okay, so it's eBay
I didn't
Motors.
have the network back then. I had to do things like eBay and however else I sold cars. And yeah, he saw a low mileage car and he liked it.
Was it a wagon?
No, it was a sedan. It was a 300D sedan, a 78.
Okay.
Astral silver and blue. And it was a really nice car.
I remember that car.
Yeah, and he really liked that color combination. And yeah, so he came over to my house in Los Feliz and drove some.
So at this point,
yeah, he just pulled up in a Porsche and parallel parked it right out front, and I had no idea what it was. And then I told a friend, "Well, this is what the car looked like." I don't even remember.
What color was it?
It was blue.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was bright blue. And
did it have a wing on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been the Adriatic Blue GT2, Zuckerman.
The 996, huh?
It was kind of. I mean, that was a cool moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And so you don't have your shop at this point, right? You're just kind of.
I was in between shops. I had actually had a shop before that down in Costa Mesa.
And what was that called?
And that was Mercedes Motoring. So I've been, for 15 years now. I've had Mercedes Motoring.
Okay, so I remember seeing that online. What street were you on there?
I was in 947 West 18th Street.
That's it. So you weren't far from, say, European Collectibles and all those other guys.
Yeah.
And two really good taco stands down there.
Yeah, there's some great taco shops, Taco Mesa.
You took me to one of those, and I really didn't like the tacos.
Really?
Yeah,
surprising.
remember at the Sunroof Delete guys?
Yes. Yes.
I thought they were okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how does this journey... I mean, I have a lot of questions about how this whole thing started. One of the first things I noticed about your website is you were using kind of videos and photography to really give us an emotional connection to these cars, and you did it very well. And I also like the fact that you're this kind of hipster-looking guy who likes these old Mercedes. These are two things that don't usually go together, right? When I think of old Mercedes diesels, I think of old people on the west side of L.A. who bought this car. Their husband got it for them 30 years ago, and this old lady's still driving it, right?
Right.
They tend to run forever. I don't think of guys like you loving these cars.
Yeah.
But you do that little alchemy. You put that together, and then...
You want it.
We're in L.A.
All of a sudden, I want it.
Oh, I want to be cool.
Yeah.
I get what's I want to get in that lime green old what's the car I like here? Is it 250?
Yeah, the 250, yeah.
The 250 and put on some Led Zeppelin with the purple pinstripe. That's exactly who I want to be. And then think suddenly you've got a thing going on.
Yeah. I didn't realize it at the time, but I think like the lifestyle, I mean, I'm not the only good car builder out there. There's a lot of guys that do really great work, but the lifestyle side of it, that I took all these crazy road trips and actually drove these cars all over the country, that definitely helps give me like a different angle on it, because people saw us in Alaska and in Maine and in Mexico or wherever, sort of driving along these back roads, and I think it made people see the sort of the Great American Road Trip, if you will.
But you were all, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were finding these cars or hearing about these cars, and then you would get on the phone with the sellers, right? And kind of figure out, should we do this? And then you'll go wherever this car is to get it, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the best. That's the best part of the business, for sure.
You would hop in a car with your partner there?
Yeah, my buddy Sean, who I share my shop with Sean.
Right, and you guys would drive across the country, wherever, just to get these cars. So what's the criteria for that car? This car that might exist out in the world that's for sale. What are you looking to see, and what are you wanting to hear from that conversation? I
am like really rigid on that side of it.
Right.
These are pedestrian cars, so there's a lot of them out there, and to me, that's how I keep finding them, I guess.
How many is a lot? Like millions?
Well, the 123 chassis, which is the one they sold the most of, that's like 3 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were taxi cabs, right?
Yeah, and they were such good cars. Most of them are still out there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. There's something to me about the idea of like these cars that maybe weren't this exotic sort of, they're not I don't build, SLs and Gullwings and Roadsters and stuff. I have appreciation for all that, but I just build, what I call like pedestrian Mercedes cars. And finding those ones that were really well taken care of with low miles and sort of all the criteria I look for, that to me is it's a really special sort of person who did that, who just took a 300D or a wagon or something and cared for it like you would a Roadster.
Right.
And I was really drawn to that idea because, like, I grew up in just like a middle class family in Vegas, and like, my neighbors, some people had them. But
what are the little clues you're looking to hear in that conversation with them? The way they talk about it. I mean, we always talk about the obsessive, the guard, the sports, the bra there on the front of the car and on the on the side mirrors. Obsessive behavior.
Right.
We like those cars.
Yeah.
The mileage log. The guy that keeps the mileage log, right? You don't want to live with him, but you want his car.
You want his
books
car
and records, and the mileage log is like, that's almost the holy grail of mileage log. And the first time I saw that, I just thought like, oh, this person was a total lunatic.
You're right.
And now that I've seen it like 20 or 30 times, because you don't actually see it. We built like 1,000 cars, but you don't see that very often. No. Still,
you're gonna have the mileage app. You're gonna have to say, "Let me."
We should have a forger to do the mileage logs. Look, it comes with a mileage log. What do you think, JG? A new little angle on
you. You know what? You probably could sit down and do that, I guess. But yeah, I look for some of the this normal stuff that people look for. Original paint, interior, drivetrain. No cracks in the dash. There are some things that we don't like to restore, which would be, anodized aluminum is really hard on these cars. Mm-hmm. They're wrapped in just a wagon has like almost 40 pieces of anodized that goes around all the glass, and it's really hard to take that off and put it back on like the factory did. And so, a car that was garage kept is going to have bright anodized aluminum. If that stuff gets worn out, I just pass every time. Mm-hmm. Cracks in the dash, that sort of thing.
So how many parts are still available? I mean, are there, like you say, like dashes? 911 dashes are tricky too.
Oh yeah, so they're actually really slimming down on a lot of stuff that I like you could build a 130 like a pagoda. I mean, you can almost build an entire pagoda and get every single part.
Right.
But you want to build a 300D from 1982. You're not going to be able to get a dash or headlight.
I find that remarkable. I thought Mercedes took pride in the availability of parts. And for example, on the higher end cars, there was Tony Ostermeyer in the '80s, he was making brand new 300 SL Gullwings.
Yeah.
Right. And then they finally put an end to that after 100 cars.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they just don't offer them anymore, and that is another reason why we sort of focus on originality and a car that's already well preserved, because that's going to be, there are just things you can't find, you know.
And
so.
do you guys do paint? I mean,
we do everything.
You don't deal
with
drivetrains, do you, and engines?
So we actually do everything. We're known for, you know, the low mileage, sort of like these light restoration stuff. But there's always full restorations going on the wings too.
And where's the shop?
The shop is in Glendale.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been there, Zuckerman, have you been there?
Of course.
It's one of those super organized.
No, not his shop. I've been to Glendale.
Oh, yeah.
Not his shop.
Yeah.
With your Armenian friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were driving Glendale on a rainy day. And then, you know, they take the fuse out of their brake lights for those occasions.
Oh, yeah. Our street is like a drag strip.
But he's got this great little shop where everything is organized, and they had this one little corner I remember that had all these vintage Mercedes parts all up on a shelf, including the front emblem there, and it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
It reminded Jonathan at Icon also has a similar shop.
Do you think
Jonathan
then
Ward.
this is an indication that JG is really a difficult individual?
Yes.
Yes.
No, but I like a shop like that. That's a guy who's paying attention to details.
You want to buy a car from him, but again, is he going to tell you like how to do everything? If you're with him in his family, is he making you miserable, telling you the right way
I
to do?
actually am. I'm kind of particular about who I sell cars to. Like, yeah.
Well, that's
Your
our
money's
biggest
not good.
complaint about you.
Yeah.
That's our biggest complaint.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that about him. You have to qualify.
We were trying to hook him up with our friend who never can make decisions on cars.
Right,
And we thought
Moise.
this is the perfect partnership.
Oh, yeah.
A guy who's got beautiful cars but won't sell them, and a guy who wants beautiful cars but won't buy them. But you do. You know, what was it that we saw you up at the Bring a Trailer little get together up in Monterey, which was super fun.
That was a wagon. That's actually the first time I've ever shown that car.
And you
Remember what we did to him?
You had great social media, by the way. That was just fun.
thank
We'll look
you.
at the car, and
Right on.
as I said to you, I saw it a day before I came up. I said, "This is the only car I really want to see in person."
Right.
And then we showed up to Bring a Trailer, and then it was.
You know,
and
I
it was
had a
gorgeous.
theory before I went up there that there really wouldn't be any wagons. And it was a 1982 300 TD.
There weren't any wagons. Your theory was correct.
Yeah, and I kind of like, I mean, I can't believe this in a certain way. Like I was just telling you, they built 3 million of those cars, and really I saw one, which was one really nice one, which was the one I brought, and I probably saw like 20 Gull Wings and cars that they made like 1,400 of. You can see a lot of them up them.
Yeah, and
so it's interesting. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's something that I don't know if everybody really is into, but for me, I just love seeing these sort of everyday cars.
And you had
brand new.
You had 2 child coffins on the roof there.
Oh yeah,
what were those things?
Those are the factory luggage, the storage containers. Those are really those are from Mercedes-Benz, and those are also kind of.
We must get rid of these.
Kind of hard to find.
Put them on the station wagons and just say they're holders for things. But that's not what they were for.
Clink, don't say anything.
So
All right,
a guy sent
hold
me,
that thought.
Okay.
I got to take a little break,
Okay.
and we'll be right back with JG Francis. Think of all the weird things found in cars, and I'm not talking about your garden variety petrified French fries or melted crayons. For me, it's crumbs. But I'm talking about live snakes, bizarre trinkets, the kind of stuff that just makes you wonder about folks. Another thing that'll make you wonder, but in a good way, are Continental belts. Bet you didn't know they're OE in tens of millions of Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, and GM vehicles that roll off the assembly line. They're also OE on the majority of BMWs and VWs. Now Continental is launching the aftermarket multi-V belt with the OE pedigree. It's their OE technology series. Belts that are fanatically engineered for the perfect fit, form, and function. And Continental has an OE technology series multi-V belt for 90% of vehicles on the road in the U.S. and Canada. Hey, you get enough surprises working on cars and trucks, a belt should not be one of them. Go with the Continental OE Technology Series Multi-V Belt, the belt with the OE pedigree. To get the full story, visit oetechnologyseries.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
We're back with JG Francis, Mercedes Motoring, running low on time.
I have a question.
And I have listener questions that I want to get to. But Zuckerman, you go first.
Okay.
Go.
JG, you're clearly a highly intelligent and intellectual fellow.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. What was the career path supposed to be if your parents had their way?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because it was not this.
Right. Well, my dad was actually pretty supportive of, like, my dad didn't get me, but he supported me, which I really love that about my dad. Yeah, my dad just, go to college, get a degree in whatever interests you. And I did. I was in college I feel like my career life went two ways. The first was college. I was in college for almost 9 years.
Oh, you packed 4 years into 9?
You know what? I packed 9 full-time years, so I almost I could have triple majored or something crazy like that. But I have 1 degree
in 9
and 1 minor in 9 years, and
you really had to learn this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I changed my major a bunch of times.
So you're obsessive.
I guess I'm a little obsessive. People would probably say that.
Yeah, I guess.
And
so I went that direction, and I didn't like it. I got a job in the real estate world.
Oh, that makes no sense. You're exactly where you should be.
Stuff.
You're putting a spotlight on these cars, and it's great to see them. How many of these cars are you keeping for yourself?
For myself, actually, I slimmed down this year.
You did.
I'm down to about 10 personal cars or something.
10?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we offered to buy one. We even offered to sell it back after a year. We
will do that.
Yeah.
He will.
He got nervous, and he got very nervous about it.
We've had crossway. He's offered me. He offered me this rare green with parchment 73 250.
It's not on offer anymore. He has it.
And it was at the wrong moment. I don't remember what I just bought.
And then he decided not to sell it ever.
And then I said, all right, well, now I want to do it. And he's like, well, now it's mine again.
I got one of those. I got a bunch of those right now, but
what do you?
I have one for you, so we'll talk about that.
I can tell you that when we shot this car for Car Matchmaker, I drove it from your place in Glendale all the way to Venice, and had the most spiritually wonderful drive in that car.
I love it,
and it was just classic rock, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin on the old Becker radio, with the windows down, and it was one of those days. It was 72. There was no traffic on the 405, and I was with my producer, and we were like, "Oh my God, we're so happy, so happy."
This was a moment in
love
history.
those. I love when cars deliver that experience.
They were making such a great product, and they took such pride in making a great product, even though it was going to be their Model T.
Totally, yeah. I mean, their 300D was, they sold millions of them, and that is one of the. I mean, I know I'm biased here, but I was into other cars before Mercedes, and till this day, I mean, for production cars outside of Porsche, there's probably not a better production. The 300D might be the best car ever made, in my opinion.
Wow.
Well, in mass quantities.
Somebody wants to know what you think of early SEC cars in the early 90s, 300 CE.
SEC stuff? Oh, yeah. The early SEC, those are amazing. I'm surprised I've never owned one of those. I'm not like a 126 chassis guy. I feel bad saying that because there are a lot of 126 guys out there. But I don't have those very often. But if I did, it would be the SEC. I love those cars, a 500. And a side note on that, I've always wanted to take the drivetrain from an SEC will go right into the coupe that I wanted to sell you. So a later really, high performance car. It's the same subframe, so you can literally just pop it right in.
Really?
So I wanted to do something.
Here's another question. Which Mercedes from the last 10 years is a future classic in your opinion? And that's from Chicago.
You guys would actually know this better than me. I would be guessing here. I would just say E63 wagon or something along those lines. Well, any AMG stuff for sure, but I don't know.
That's tough.
The wagon is the most. Is the rarest one and probably the most
S-Class convertible.
Otherwise, I'm a little bit. It doesn't
none
raise
of us,
my pulse.
None of us will be alive for that to see that happen.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks, Ferris.
Does JG forgive Mercedes for leading the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act, which prevents U.S. from importing Euro cars under 25 years? Do you forgive them?
Do I forgive them? Wow, that's heavy.
There's a lot of things
where is that? Where is he talking about? That must be in
I don't even know what he's talking about.
We're on the list of unforgivable acts.
Right. I'm gonna. I wouldn't be able to really. Am I going to forgive
he's
Mercedes?
Thinking about it.
No,
you just blow that off,
JG.
You just say, I can't answer that.
Does,
Don't even think.
Right.
Does JG still do car sourcing?
Yes.
Trying to find my dad's OG ride. And he said, I don't even understand what this question is. 76 300D diesel, English red.
Okay.
He wants to find
he wants to find one.
He wants me to find. I got. Yeah. Okay.
So do you still do that?
I still do that. I take a deposit up front. You tell me what you want, and
money up front.
And then
Well,
he
yeah, that has
disappears.
to
We'll
show
never
you.
be
That
able
has
to
to show
find
you
it, but send me
serious.
some money,
Yeah,
and I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
How much? What does that cost?
It's
depending on-
$3,500. It's actually fully
Oh, that's not bad.
refundable. It just tells me like,
No,
okay,
no,
they're
no.
serious.
Why are you refunding this?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
JG, let me give you some business
yeah,
advice.
okay.
Give me the money, and I don't give it
see,
back.
this is why I was so nervous today. Yeah.
Zuckerman.
Yeah. I
Do you
need
do
a
that with
lawyer.
retainers?
Yeah.
I never get paid until the end of the case, but if I was getting money from somebody, I'm not giving it back.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
remember
think
that.
about that,
Yeah.
JG.
Look at this shop,
Yeah.
Zuckerman. Here's some
It's
pictures from the
beautiful.
Hey, right on.
website. I always love these shots right here. This wagon here is always
Who
blowing
takes
me away.
your photographs?
Yeah. Mostly my buddy Sean. I wish, Sean. I don't know. We should have brought
He's
Sean in
very
here. Sean's way more
talented.
interested in
He
more
has
interested
great
in me.
angles. He makes you want these cars
Yeah.
so
Actually, that was
bad.
the car that Jerry had right there.
This one right here?
Yeah.
The blue one.
Oh,
The-
yeah,
the
there it
New
is.
York-
How did
New
he
York
make
place.
everything so wet around it?
That was in the river. We snuck into the LA River that day.
Wow, there are so
and
many
actually,
great
there
shots.
was the water was like
Oh.
1 inch of water covered in like slime, and at some point I had an SL down there, and I got out of it, and the whole thing without me in it just slowly started moving away. I was like-
Floating?
Boy.
it wasn't floating; it was just sliding on this like
Ooh.
algae. And I was like, "All right, I got to get back in the car here."
Look at that shot. This is an example, this wagon shot here, of
Right.
these perfect interiors you find. Like, how
Yeah.
much of this has been gone through and how much
That
of it is as found?
original. Yeah,
Come on.
that car is completely.
And this car
original.
has over 100,000 miles on it, right?
I'm not sure about. Yeah, probably. I can tell by
How
that.
does that happen? how does that
It's kind of what
interior-
Zuckerman was saying. They really built them incredibly well, and they're so tough that you can. I mean, I see especially wagons like that one because that's an original wagon, and
But that looks
somebody had
new.
a family and beat it up. And
Yeah,
whatever. But we can.
It looks new, and we buy cars. We've had all manner of low mileage cars before, and when you get into the high teens and the 20s, the interiors show, right? You see it.
Totally.
That's
they're
how
worn
you
in.
tell.
They don't
Yeah.
look like this.
Yeah,
They don't look like that. That looks restored and new.
yeah. Well, sometimes we do
There's my
restore
car.
them. Yeah, there's your.
You know, the
yeah,
genius
there's-
move on
there's our
this
car.
green car. What is this green called?
It's called green.
Just green.
Just
Yeah,
green.
but it's a lime green. The
Well,
genius
actually,
move
it's
was
green.
it's just
Yeah,
called plain green.
Yeah, they have all these awesome colors, and it's kind of boring that they called that one green.
Right. But I'm
Ruined.
just for the listeners because they can't see it
Yeah.
unless they're on the website. It's a lime. It's a softer green
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
The genius move was the purple pinstripe, and
Oh.
you just did that, right?
Yeah. Well, actually,
You just decided I'm going to put a purple pinstripe on this.
so I gotta say it's actually lavender. It's
It's
not.
la-
Yeah, it's not purple.
Oh, it's not just
I've had a
purple,
couple
it's
people say it's
lavender.
purple.
You see
and
what
I
we're
just-
getting into
No,
here?
you're
Is
right. I
Zuckerman?
told
See,
you.
that's
I already,
lavender.
di-
His
I
shirt
already
is lavender.
diagnosed him.
Yeah.
You
I've already got
diagnosed
his
him?
diagnosis.
What
yes.
is the DSM-4 on this one?
We'll talk off the radio, off of the podcast. Now, JG,
You know,
have you?
I do I do the same thing over and over, so it's all original every time. So the only flair we get to kind of put on the car is,
Right.
is like,
What about your initials?
what about them?
Don't you put them on the door in the pinstriping? There's a little break. You put your
Yeah,
initials.
yeah,
That's what they did by the
right.
handle back
Well,
in the day.
Did you do that?
I
should.
don't actually do the like monogrammed pinstripes.
Will you
but,
now?
I don't
I
see
get a
him
lot of
as doing
cars that
something
have
like
them,
that.
and on my wagon, actually, I do have my logo in the back hatch. So yeah, kind of.
We could do that, Spike. EAD. We could put an EAD on there.
Is that what we want to say to the world?
Oh, that was
Yes.
that was a little cameo by our little poodle right there. Can you see him sitting in the front seat?
Who's
of that?
the
Oh yeah,
Let's
look,
see.
there he is,
Yeah,
sitting in the
that's
front there.
Jackson.
Now these cars are great. They're really beautiful.
Thank you.
At any given time, how many of these are actually for sale? I go to your website a lot, and it always seems like for a minute there might be a car for sale,
Well,
and then it's
here
gone.
is where so a lot of stuff happens that doesn't appear on my website, because if you give me a search deposit and I find you a car and we build a car for you, I never really have to market it. So it doesn't even
Right.
show up on there. So there's always about 30 cars or so going at a time.
Very industrious. See, we thought with your hoarding, the way that you were so reluctant, so reticent about this, we thought, God, this guy
Gosh,
must
is this
just
the
come.
reputation I've
yeah,
built that I
he
don't
must
sell
be
cars?
like a
Yeah.
trust fund kid with $1 zillion. He really
yeah.
doesn't need to sell these things
That
to live.
sounds
He's
awesome
got,
to be that.
and you're
that's
not.
not true.
You're not.
It's not.
It's
yeah,
just, but you
yeah.
appear that way. This is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to like stand for, like when somebody tells me they don't have a garage, it's almost a deal breaker every time. Yeah.
So you're like this no-kill
Country
pet rescue.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
we're
I like
gonna
that
it's
analogy,
adoption
yeah.
forms. We're gonna come to your house. We're gonna have a look. We
Yeah.
want to do a little background check on
Yeah,
you
you
beforehand.
can
What are the
foster
cars
this
if you
for
own
a few days.
any
before,
accidents.
You have to be sponsored to buy a car.
When we got our little rescue dog, that's what they did. They said, well, where is he going to sleep?
Right.
Where's his backyard? Is it fenced in? Are there any wires by his mouth? Do you go through the garage?
You know, if I were saying that from a business angle, a lot of these cars end up coming back.
Right.
So you want them to go to a good home.
I totally agree with you.
There's
I
nothing
totally
worse
agree.
because I do see it. In fact, I've sold plenty of cars just here locally in LA, and occasionally I'll see a car. I saw a wagon not that long ago, and I was like, no way, that's that wagon.
Yep.
Did you ever feel like
terrible.
calling him up and saying, "What are you doing to my car"?
No, yeah.
You should.
Well, I do feel that way, yeah.
Why
but
don't you reach out? Say you should take better care.
I should just take some sort of nondescript secret photos and then, say,
No,
look,
just call up and say, here's how you do it. You say, I saw my car. Is there something you don't like about it? And they say, no, why? Well, the way you're treating it. You treat it like shit. And then...
Yeah, it's a bummer when you see that. I don't know. I wish Actually, most people do take really good care of them.
More and more manufacturers are doing it. Ferrari does it.
Yeah.
Ford is doing it with their GTs.
Yeah.
they're keeping an eye on who owns these cars. I don't
Yeah.
know why J.G. Francis can't do it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Jimmy
yeah.
George Francis.
Jimmy George.
Jimmy George.
Jimmy George from the Greek islands.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
huh? Yeah.
Georgiopolis.
Now, I wish. Now, I want the mystery back. I like the mystery back.
Yeah, no,
I'm
yeah,
going to
punch
erase
JG.
everything
Pop
that
in
we've
the bubble.
spoken tonight
Yeah.
about the name and everything else.
It's just a fraud of our own imagination.
Yes.
Our imagination has defrauded us. The reality is equally charming. It's just not what we thought.
Have you ever owned one of these cars, Zuckerman?
No, but I think I called once and asked to buy a car that was not for sale.
Right.
Like it was already sold, maybe, or
Was in your private collection. We can't sell that. Oh no, I don't care. Your money's
actually,
no good around here.
Nothing sells a car better than telling somebody it's not for sale.
Of course.
It
Yeah.
drives some people absolutely out of their minds.
It does.
And it's not even an angle. It's not even like, I know everything is for sale, quote unquote, but I don't do that where somebody is like, well, I'll just give you more. I just,
You should
I've
do it.
owned all my personal cars for like years and years. People have offered me absurd money for some of them.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about Mercedes motoring.
He's
Zuckerman.
the Ray
I feel like
J.
you're still talking right now.
Yeah,
Yes,
I am.
continue.
He's the Ray J of the Mercedes
Yes,
world.
he is.
Because Ray's a hoarder also.
Yes.
He won't
Great,
let.
I'm a total
What
hoarder.
Ray
How
J
did
Ray
this
J
happen?
is RPM Motorsports, right?
And
Just so
and
everyone knows.
he's got those cars in his private collection.
Yes.
And he won't sell them. And
That's true.
I do have one coming in. I told you about it in Pebble that I'm not going to sell. That's
The one
this
from Europe?
3000. Yeah, the guy that was
that's
the one
a
in
great
Tours.
story.
wild
with-
story, but
Right.
yeah.
You can't tell that story?
The car's on a ship now, so I guess I
What-
can't
how did
tell
you
the
find-
story.
tell everybody how you found it.
The car, it came to me actually through a friend in Verona who was going over there for a wedding
In Italy.
in Italy, and
So
he
the
was,
information came in.
Yeah, he was going over there, so he just like got online and was looking around at cars. He's already bought an old Mercedes, and he said, "Look at this thing. Is it real?"
And what was in the ad? That ad?
It was actually a terrible ad, and
In Italy, I
but
find that hard to believe.
But the price was really high.
But what were the conditions of the car? It was.
yeah,
You
so-
told me some story about it
Crazy
being in a.
Yeah,
No,
the
it was in
story
a structure.
sounds
There was
like-
an earthquake.
The story
or-
sounds crazy. The guy bought it new from the factory in '79. He drove it to Verona, and about 3 months later, he took a business trip to Venezuela and was killed in Venezuela. And if that's not crazy enough, there was an earthquake in Verona around the same damn time, and the car got, quote from the dealer, entombed in this garage, and the family found it like 5 years ago, and they didn't even sell it when they found it. It basically was driven for 3 months in 1979, and that's it.
So the earthquake destroys the garage. They decide just to never go back into the garage.
There were two cars, and so there was another car, and yeah, they never went.
And
they
what
never
was
went.
the other car?
You know what? I can see this little tiny corner of it in one of the photos. I don't know what it is. It looked like just some
I
Euro
just see
car
the
that I
numbers
don't know.
250.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what, and maybe
Yeah,
a Ferrari.
So this wagon has 3,000 miles on it. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so the family finally decides to go in there and pull it out?
They supposedly they didn't know. They did not know it was in there.
Wow.
And when they found it,
this guy's buying stuff and not telling his wife about it.
Yeah,
right?
Probably. Yeah, it
right.
has the
it
original. It's never been registered.
No
ever.
way. And the mileage was what again?
It's in kilometers. It's got like 5,300 kilometers or something like that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a real-time.
And what was the color?
It's nickel green with avocado cloth, and it's got third back seat. It's fully loaded,
And you're going to sell it to us, right?
Yeah, I'm going to sell it to you
and
guys.
come on,
Can you believe it?
Come on.
I imagine you've got a lot of paint work to do to it, or are you just going to clean it up and make it look nice? There was there were no rat infestations?
There was
or...
zero. The thing is a total and complete time capsule, and they took photos when they took it out of the garage, which it was covered in an inch of dust. But this guy, unfortunately, they sold it to a dealer.
Right.
And he did some silly things like threw the original tires away, some stuff like that. But it still is a fully documented with the whole story.
Hey, JG,
Cazzo,
I got a new tire on your car. I take off this weird sticker with price on the side off and throw it away.
Make it good for
That's
you.
Pretty much exactly what happened. Yeah.
We make it good.
Had the old keychain. I get you new keychain. No, what are you doing? Stop right now. The knobs I fixed, they're all cracked and look a little yellow. The weird. No, not creamy knobs. You threw them away. Get them out of the trash.
No, I did. I tried to go and find the tires because he did the tires 6 months ago. I tried to find the tire shop to see if they still had these original tires. They're gone.
Yeah. Oh man, it's always weird when you get the original tires that come with a car because they're just for display. You can't drive on them. Yeah. They're rock hard. We've had cars like that, and they sit in your hangar for a while.
I tried once to drive.
No.
I tried from Corpus to go to Corpus Christi to Austin, and I made it about 40 miles and had one just peel off.
They're an exceptional sales tool, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they just sit in that hangar.
Yeah.
They just sit there, and unless you're showing the car and you've got white Goodyears on the side for your little race car, there's no real use for them.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's it. But an excellent sales tool. Well, JG, we're out of time, my friend.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for coming in here.
Welcome.
We're huge fans. If you guys want to check out what JG is up to, go to MercedesMotoring.com. Good luck buying a car. Let me know.
Everybody should call and just ask to buy the private collection.
Call
Hundreds of calls a day.
JG Francis.
He'll crash.
And let him know. Yeah, don't bother him.
Give him a nervous breakdown.
I was gonna give out his phone number. I'm not gonna do that. But check out the cars. It's a lovely website with lovely photography. And if you're not into these cars, you're gonna be into them. As always, you can find Zuckerman down at his slip and fall shop.
Banana Peel Lawyer.
Banana Peel.
Carpenter, Zuckerman, and Rowley.
That's right. And those guys kill it. That's why Zuckerman has a killer car collection. That's where he's getting all the cash. You can follow me on Instagram. That's where I have the most fun. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio. Real quick before we go, if you're looking to buy a car, you're probably familiar with terms like MSRP. You might even know what it stands for, but what does it actually mean? The same goes for invoice, list price, and dealer price. It's enough to confuse everybody, even you, Zuckerman. All you're looking for is a price that actually means something. Introducing True Price from True Car. Now you can know exactly what you'll pay for the car you want, including fees and accessories. Before you even get to the dealership, True Car dealers will show you the true price on cars like the one you want, all from the comfort of your home. And how do you know if your true price is a great price? Because True Car shows you what other people paid for the same car you want. And your certified dealers know this, so they set their true price competitively so they can win your business. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit True Car to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Hey, this is Jordan Harbinger. I used to host the Art of Charm podcast, but now it's time for something new. The Jordan Harbinger Show. Did you know you can be entertained and actually get a boost in your life at the same time? On this show, we dig into the superpowers of the world's most interesting thinkers and top talents. Then we deliver them to you right into your ears. But I get it. We're not all superheroes. That's why we give you their blueprint so you can live what you listen. After 1,000 interviews, learning 5 languages, and getting arrested in a country that doesn't even exist anymore, I'm now more ready than ever to introduce you to The Jordan Harbinger Show. Listen free to The Jordan Harbinger Show. Available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the Podcast One app.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.